Hello everybody. Today I will tackle a different kind of image inspired by a photograph I took of a lily pond in Greenwood Cemetery where I used to live nearby. And this is a beautiful reflecting pool with water lilies, and I'm going to use this as a guide for my subject matter, and as a result I came up with this rough sketch, and this is the general idea. We'll create stencils in this shape, which I'm quite fond of. These are elliptical shapes, and I'm going to cut a whole bunch of them, and they will be arranged in a tier fashion from largest to smallest to give the illusion of perspective. So before I do that, I'm going to charge the jelly plate as usual, and I'm going to start with some yellow green. I'm almost running out here because I use it so much. And a little bit of transparent oxide yellow. It's a brand new bottle, so I'm going to peel that off. Don't want to waste this. Okay, just a little touch, and the majority of the color will be green oxide, and this is Blick acrylic, which is an economy acrylic for students, and I do like using this because I can just pour it on the plate. Okay, and I will be using my brayer, and this time I will, instead of going in an up and down motion, I will go from left to right. Just to simulate the colors in a pond. So this first layer of color will be the color of the leaves, the elliptical leaves. Okay, just to fill in the edges, I'm going to go this way. Okay, but I'm going to retain that left to right direction. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to take my fresh piece of paper, and pull my first print. I may have grabbed two at a time, but that's okay. I'm pressing extra hard so I can pick up the paint from the plate. Okay, I'm gonna peel off this first layer. I wasn't intending to do that, but it happens. Okay, that's better. I can feel the plate from underneath the paper. I can sense it give a little because it's made of jelly. Okay, here we go. Here's my first pull. And you see, because of the direction that I took, left to right, it has a very water-like texture. And in fact, I did a little misregistration there. I'm going to fix that later. In fact, it has almost a very pond-like appearance. So I'm going to let this dry, and I will proceed to cut out the stencils. So I will be right back. Okay, here I have sketched out some of the lily pad shapes. So I'm going to start cutting them. Now, each lily pad has an indentation, so I will do that last. I'll just cut out the ovals first. Do it assembly line style. So I got the large ones, and now I do the medium ones. Okay. And one good piece of advice when doing this kind of work, it is actually safer to have an absolutely sharp blade, a dull blade is more dangerous than a sharp one. Okay, got this medium size. Okay, this might come in handy for some other artwork, so I'm going to save that. And here are the smallest ones. Just cut these out. Here's the last one. I'm not sure if these will be enough, but I'll know when I lay them out. Okay. Let me spread them on the jelly plate and see how it goes. Guess that will do. It's enough lily pads. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lily pads. So I will cut these out. Now my next step will be to charge the plate with the water color, and I am going to use a deeper shade of green. I'm going to use emerald green, some of this, and maybe some phthalo blue. And for the reflections, I'm going to use pale blue. Okay. So there'll be just a hint. Okay. I will be using this medium brayer and go left to right. And I hope these guys stay put. Oh, this is not good. Maybe I'll be safer using short strokes. This keeps wanting to come up. Okay, I promise myself not to play with it too much. And I'm gonna take away some of the excess on the edges. Okay. So this has dried by now. It's been almost half an hour. So I'm going to, but before I do that, I get too carried away. I have to remember to take these off. Okay, I hope this is going to work. Grab my pointer. Okay, this is the moment of truth. So here's where the stencils were. Okay. So here is an second pull. The edge is a little messy, but I can fix that. But here is something that looks like a lily pond. So I'm going to set this aside. Let me make a close-up of the details. Okay, I may decide to put veins on the leaves and maybe 2 or 3 blossoms. I'll see when this thing dries. Okay, I'm back. Let me show you the inspiration photo that I'm using. And I did some studies on the lotus flower. Here are some close-ups of the lotus flower. And I found out that the structure of the flower is actually very complicated. And I tried to do some sketches, and it's not easy to sketch lotus. So I had to practice a lot just to get the proportions right. So actually, let me show you what a lotus petal looks like. Here we go. You take a piece of paper, and a lotus petal is kind of like an elongated ellipse. And not only is it elliptical, it's also curled. So it's really like this. And just imagine a whole bunch of these arranged in a circle all around like so, starting with the longest ones on the outer edge, and they get smaller and smaller as they come in. So my point here is not to recreate exactly the structure of the flower, but when you draw a flower, make a representation of the flower, it is always very important to understand what you're painting or what you're drawing. You understand the anatomy of a flower in order to draw it more accurately or convincingly. And since this is an abstract print or semi-abstract print, I'm going to create stencils that can resemble this image. So, okay, without further ado, I'm going to cut out some shapes, and I'm going to lay out the blossoms on this piece. So I'm going to I'm not following it exactly, but it's just to make a good approximation, because that's what abstraction is all about, is you make an approximation of what you're trying to represent. There we go. That's the first one. Okay. I'll do the second one. So now I have one size. So what I'm going to do is decide where to place the blossom. I'll do one here, and I'm going to be using, this is one of the rare occasions when I do use titanium white, and instead of using the plate, the jelly plate, I'm just going to paint the white on this stencil. This way I can apply a little heavier application, because I don't want it to be transparent, I want it to be opaque. So I have to get a little closer to my subject, and like I showed you before, when you do painting on a stencil, you paint away from the edge. You start from outside and then you paint pulling it inwards. See? And fortunately, this titanium white by Lucas, for some reason, is heavier in body than the other paints. It's thicker and it is more opaque, which I want. Okay. There. So that's one blossom. And it's seems to be in the foreground as opposed to in the background. So I'm going to do my second blossom. I'm going to do that. I'm going to change the direction of it. I'm deliberately leaving some darker areas to give some kind of texture. going to cut an open blossom, so it's just a little bud, and the bud is kind of like a teardrop shape when you see it in nature. The unopened flower looks like this. So the bud, I will place it somewhere there. And maybe another one here. I'm going to leave that open, so it seems like the bud is partially submerged in the water. There. Maybe another one here. So that's my application of the stencils for the flowers. So as usual, I'm going to let this dry for a few minutes. Then I'm going to place the see, lotus flowers have a central core. It looks like a little cylinder of the stamens or pistils, as they're called, where the pollen is, and it's like a bright yellow. So I'm going to apply that, but I will do that when this is dry so it doesn't smear. So I'll be right back in a few minutes and continue my lily pond print. Okay, it's been a few minutes. So I'm going to apply some this just to differentiate the petals. Okay, so here's the image with the little touches of color just to differentiate the petals. I'm not going to overdo it. I do want to keep the semi-abstract character of this print. Thank you for watching.